So I was watching the Facebook this morning, and somebody jumped in there and said, well, you know, SB 13 will never be enforced. To which I replied, unfortunately, you're probably right. The way things look today, that's probably true. We could spend $1 million and we could put 10,000 people at the Capitol, demand justice, and pass SB 13. And then the governor could even sign it. But then what would happen next? There's another building right across the street from the legislature. It's the Supreme Court building. And the Supreme Court of Oklahoma would say, unconstitutional, and they will stay it. The ACLU will already have a suit ready. They'll stay it and say, we're going to take a look at this. And of course, they're going to call it unconstitutional. This cannot go into effect, the court will say. The question is, what will the executive branch do about that? Again, do they have to go along with the court? See, the key is the executive branch executing the laws. The highest laws of the land, proper laws that protect innocent people's lives and property. Guys, this is exactly what is going to happen again with SB 13 unless Governor Stitt, the chief law enforcement officer in our state, decides no. Not on my watch, not in my jurisdiction, not while I'm the chief law enforcement officer in the state.
Amen.
This was passed
right.
legally, legitimately.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
in agreement with the Constitution of the United States. And hello, it's in agreement with God.
Yes.
I didn't need anything else but God to tell me what my duty was. But hello, the Constitution affirms God, and now the state statute affirms God. And we're going to go make arrests starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Now, that's what Governor Stitt should do. So, Governor Stitt, if you're listening, if any of your friends are listening, if any of you have friends of friends and can get this message to Governor Stitt, we are pleading with you, sir, to have that kind of bold leadership and courage to stop the bloodshed, stop the slaughter of innocent human beings under your jurisdiction. This is your job as the guy with the guns and the handcuffs. You command state police and the National Guard. And the people of God are here with you to support you with votes, with money, with bodies, to be there on the front line when you make those first arrests, to defend you against Fox News and CNN and all the other nattering nahus, right? Trump is probably going to back you up on this. Are you kidding me? He wants to get reelected this year.
Absolutely.
He's not going to send federal marshals down here to make us murder babies. That would be horrible. This comes down to you. This comes down to our county sheriffs.
That's good.
Doing the right thing. They have the law behind them already. And if we pass SB 13, we have even more law behind them.
Absolutely.
So we should absolutely get down there. Somebody said, well, what's the chances that the legislature is going to pass this thing? Well, again, this goes back to my poll question. Remember, how many of you know who the president of the Senate is? How many of you know who the Speaker of the House is?
Right.
The reason the legislature is very unlikely to do the right thing is because they know that you don't know who they are.
So who are they?
So you asked who's in charge down at the legislature. Greg Treat in the Senate, Charles McCall in the House. But if Greg Treat doesn't want to hear the Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act, it will not get heard. And we will never establish justice in our statutes. Now, again, none of this should prevent the governor from exercising leadership.
Right.
And because the legislature is so able to hide behind each other and the rules and people's lack of knowledge, it's really, really hard to get something done there. But I want to go back and talk about Governor Stitt again because he has extraordinary power as the chief executive of the state. Again, in my survey of Christian conservatives, nobody knows who's in charge at the legislature.
Yeah.
The final question I ask them is, class, how many of you know, raise your hand if you know who the governor of Oklahoma is. Guess what? 80 plus people, 100%, they all know who the governor is. Governor Kevin Stitt is our top executive. You know what that means? That means he has nowhere to hide. He is answerable to the people. He is the chief executive officer. And we have to recognize that these legislators are going to keep hiding, but the governor cannot. Now, something else about the governor. He has extraordinary power, not just to actually send troops and physically stop the shedding of innocent blood and things like that, but he has the ability to lead the legislature. This is really cool. Because he can veto Legislation, his action to veto a piece of legislation is as powerful, is worth as much as 2/3 of the votes in the House and the Senate. That's powerful. In other words, if Governor Kevin Stitt wanted to establish justice in the statutes and wanted to see the Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act get passed, all he would have to do in his State of the speech next Monday at 12:30 is say, I want this bill on my desk.
That's
You
good.
better believe it would happen.
That's good.
And then if they didn't take him seriously, all he'd have to say is, I'm going to veto every bill that hits my desk until this one gets passed.
That's good. And I think this is a good place for a segue, John. I think that's amazing information. That's why it's so important for us to show up in first. Because how is Governor
This
Kevin Stitt-
rally
Yes.
on Tuesday the 11th is
Yeah.
not just about correcting our statutes.
Right.
This is also about telling the governor what he must do to establish justice and then carry it out.
Absolutely. And with that, guys, leave comments and questions for our end segment, and we're going to go on break. Thank you so much.